evening, fellow nerdlings. This will be the start of my tutorial on how to make a fur, well, the head, base, and basically the overall costume of the project I'm currently doing. As you know, I've just sort of done my Champa cosplay, which I just wore at SaneCon, which went down an absolute treat. I had so much positive feedback and people asking how I made it, do I do tutorials, how long did it take, so many just positive questions. I only had one negative thing, but that was from a football idiot, so I'm just gonna, brush it off my shoulder and let that uncultured burger walk away. But anyway, as you can see, this is my Dbz Champa. So I have the neck piece, so I will show you how to make that. The top, I've got to make slightly differently as it is for my partner, so it's going to be slightly bigger, and I'm going to do it a slightly different way than I originally did it, because I worked from a pattern from a dress I wore before, but I'm going to do it slightly different and cut a large man's t-shirt up and basically use that as a pattern, because it's a lot cheaper than buying about a £3 top and buying a £15 pattern that you're only going to use once. So for the meantime, I'm going to show you how to make this, which I don't know what to call this actually. I call it a tunic. So it's quite easy to do. So at the minute I have my lovely fabric laid out. So unfortunately I've lost my template as it got sort of messed up in my rubbish, where I was having a bit of a nerd clear out because I wasn't expecting to make Champa, because my partner kind of sprung on me and said, "Oh, your verse is good. Now make me Champa before Expo." Cheers, Adam. But I don't mind because it gives me another project and keeps me busy. So so I'm just going to use the fabric. I also have the bias banding, and then I just got to make the shapes. So if you follow me step by step, I will show you how to make the tunic, and then last of all, I will show you how to make the headpiece. So this is my Lord Burus, which scared a few people and wowed a few people. Ian Sinclair actually wore this, so I was very, very honoured for him to wear it, to be honest. And I even had Josh Martin weirdly ask me to make him a Pillsbury Doughboy head with a moving mouth, and he was quite drunk at the time, so I'm not sure if he wanted me to do it or if it was a drunken dream blur. But anyway, that was one of the funny things that happened at SaneCon. So anyway, enough about me blabbering. I'm just going to put my camera on hyperlapse and I will show you my process of making this, so stick around. Okay guys, so with our tunic templates finally cut out, I am now going to put in a layer of interfacing. Basically this gives a lot more structure to the fabric and makes it a lot better, as it's meant to sort of be it looks quite sturdy when it's on the characters. It doesn't really bend that much unless they're fighting. So I just put a layer. It just makes it look a lot neater and tidier, and it doesn't crease as much. So obviously I'm just going to cut a template. I can't talk. Before you do put this on, make sure that your fabric is ironed and non-creased, so it looks a lot more tidier, because if you put creased fabric on and then you put the interfacing on, there's no going back, and if you try peeling the interfacing off, it will leave a glue layer on the fabric and it will look super duper messy. So I'm just going to cut the template up now, then I'm going to iron my fabric and then put in the interfacing layer. Okay, so now we have our templates all nice and cut out and ironed, and there's no creases at all. Just a little bit here. Also, you want to make sure, like I said earlier, to make sure that your fabric is nice and ironed and no creases at all, because once you put on the interfacing, that's it, there's no going back. So with the interfacing, there is one plain side and one glossy side. Obviously you put the glossy side down, and I left about a 1 centimeter gap just to make it easier for sewing, and if the glue does melt and leak out, then you're not going to have any messes on the edges of your fabric. I know it's not quite perfect, but it's not going to matter too much. You don't have to do the interfacing if you don't want to. It's not a choice, but I just prefer to do it myself because it just looks a lot tidier. So I'm just going to straighten this edge up real quick. before putting on my interface fabric. So I just want to make sure it's nice and matched up to the point at the end. So nice here, nice here. Right, so I'm going to iron this glossy, the non-glossy side, obviously, because you don't want glue on your iron. So just be very gradual with it, and don't put it on too high heat. Put it on a medium heat if you can. It will sort of resist because it'll catch because the glue's sort of starting to react. So just go nice and slow with the interfacing, and just gradually go over with the iron. Sometimes it will take a while for it to stick, but just keep at it with the iron. Don't go on too high heat, like I said, because I've done that before and I messed up my mum's iron and she went absolutely ballistic at me. And I had to buy her a new iron. So that was fun. But hey ho, that's the trials of cosplay. You learn from your mistakes and then you rebuild from them. So just nice and easy. And it should be relatively stuck. Okay, no, it's not playing ball, so I'm just going to go a little bit higher and see how he goes. It's starting to react now because it's starting to melt the glue just a little bit, so maybe a little bit of high heat was needed. So it's nice and easy. And the glue's starting to react here as well, which is good. Obviously don't steam it because obviously it will lift the glue. Oops. So it is starting to stick. It won't stick 100% perfect, but as long as it's glued in the correct places, like here, it's glued down, then that's okay. So you don't want to overheat it too much, but I'm just going to do this part here. And there we go, it's stuck down now. So that's our interfacing done. So now what I'm going to do is tack the top layer on the top of this and then pin it, and then I can start adding the bias banding around the edges, and then it will look super awesome, and then we can start sewing. So proper job. Okay, so now we are going to add the bias banding. If you've never heard of bias banding, basically it's a tape to do edging with. So if you're doing any like jackets or sleeves or anything that require a sort of colour cuff, these are great to use, as you can basically, you see the crease here, you fold it in half and then sew it to the fabric, and then it leaves a nice smooth edge rather than frayed fabric. So I'm just going to add this on. So this bias banding is 1 inch, so I'm going to add it all the way to the edge. So I start from the top, so it gives me a nice starting point, then work my way around the corners and then back up to the top. So I'm just going to pin this on, and I'm going to use these as well. These are craft clips, which you can get at craft stores. They come in very, very handy for holding fabric when you don't want to use pins and you want to do it pretty quick. So I'd advise getting these. I need to go and grab some more actually when I get some thread next. So yeah, you need to do that. So yay. Okay, so now we've got all our bias banding all pinned on and ready. I'm just going to machine sew the edges. These bits are just felt. I've just measured them out for now, as I need to buy some more cotton fabric. I decided not to go with felt in the end because it's going to be born in October and it's rainy, and when the stuff gets wet, it just falls apart and disintegrates. So I'm going to get some cotton when I've got some free time. So for now I'm just going to sew the edges with just a standard straight stitch on my Brother sewing machine, and hopefully it will look okay. Okay, so now we've got all the bias banding on. Sorry about the light in here, it's quite dark outside. So it's all nice and sewn up and the corners are done. So as you can see, I've just pinned out the shapes onto the, pinned the shapes onto the tunic. I've done these with felt as it's just easier to work with because the diamonds were easier with the cotton fabric because it's a lot easier to fold, where with the cotton making circles and folding everything over is a pain in the ass. So I decided just to go with felt because it's a nice cheap option and it looks pretty cool, and I found this nice orange in my local range store, so yeah, fabric's quite cheap. So I'm just going to sew all these on and hopefully they'll look good. Okay, so we have all of the shapes sewn on, so they look nice and neat and tidy. So I've just done a basic straight stitch around the edging. I didn't bother with the zigzag stitch because it's just such a pain in the ass just to keep straight and tidy. But there we go. So there's the first part of our Dbz Champa cosplay. So you can use this technique for any of the angels or the gods. So I hope these techniques come in handy, and I will hope you stick around for the next part of my tutorials. So stick around, guys. Bye!